Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Blacklist theory discussion. It has been a little over a week now since I guess we call it the mid-season finale, though it's only episode 2.
Only episode 2, but here we are. No more episodes until January 22nd.
But yeah, okay. So this is the thing. We've had some time to percolate on this for a little while because we are all kind of running around in circles on this N-13 Sikorsky Archive mystery.
We talked a lot about it over Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there that was celebrating it. And yeah, we've got some theories.
So here's what happened. I was picking up a turkey leg. I took a bite out of it and I was like, Liz is N13. No, I'm joking. But no, what we do want to talk about here, though, is the idea of, is Liz N13? Could Liz at least have the archive somewhere within her and not even know it? Like, we've seen a ton of comments about these questions. It merits a deep dive, and that is what we are going to do. So get your diving caps on, everyone.
But before we dive into this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's the best way to make sure you don't miss any of our Blacklist coverage. We have lots of it coming up, and we love talking about it with you guys. Also, follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. As I said, we had Thanksgiving. We were talking about Blacklist, of course, but we were also eating all kinds of goodies. We have lots of photos up there. We also put up our tree.
Yeah.
I made Guyanese black cake, which is a tradition for my family. So there's all kinds of pictures up there of stuff we were doing.
It's been a very fun few days, and I hope this is a very fun theory discussion. I love hearing what you guys have to say, but since we're already on the subject of Thanksgivings, let's set the table here and sort of establish where we are going. Yeah, I try. Okay, so N-13, this is supposedly a secret spy, a purveyor of swords of the Sikorsky Archive. They look over the information to some degree, or at least that is what has been suggested to us. And obviously, whoever this is, they have so many government secrets, and they are at the very center of what this show really is.
Okay, so here's the question. Could Liz be sort of the keeper of the archive? And Dom did say to Katerina that when she was like, who has it? And he was like, oh, well, you and Reddington sort of thing. Katerina and Reddington have it. She was like, how is that possible? This is how it's possible. If Katerina and Reddington are her parents, then Liz is both of them. So if she is both of them, then she could have it.
I know we always like to talk a lot about, okay, should we trust this person? Should we believe what this person is saying?
Everybody's a liar.
Everybody is a liar. Everyone is an imposter. These are the words to live by with the Blacklist. But in this context,
it feels a little bit like This Is Us. We get a lot of theories on that where everybody's going to have a miscarriage or die on that show.
Everything is just sad there. And, here, because Dom was seeing a younger version of Katerina, and because they specifically went in that direction, I think they were trying to create a device where we took Dom's words as truth. And I think that Dom, he was telling a truth to that version of Katerina. I think the question then becomes, what does this truth really mean? Like, we've seen multiple interpretations already about, okay, what does Reddington and Katerina have the archive together? Like, what does that mean? Yes, there's an entire Red Arena rabbit hole you could go down, but the Liz idea of it, this just makes a lot of sense without having to get into a lot of other various directions with it.
Yeah, it makes the most sense to me, because then that would feel like why Reddington would have come into her life, and we'll get more into that, but that makes a lot of sense. Like, what is the secret of why, he's come in, and about himself, and sort of those theories. If Liz has the archive, then it makes sense that Reddington has come into her life.
Now we get into the next big question here, which is, of course, if Liz has it, like, let's say Liz does have the archive, she has the title of N-13 or, whatever else. How is this possible? Because we have already seen Liz is not so good at the keeping of the secrets.
Oh my God, she's so bad at it. She told everybody that Ilya was Reddington. Everybody. The whole task force. And not even at one time. It was like one here, one here, one. Everybody knows.
So if Liz knew she had the archive, she would have totally gone into a room, maybe wrestlers there, and it's like, guess what I got? Like, she wouldn't keep this. So I believe that if she somehow has it, she doesn't know that she has it.
Yeah.
And so that gets us into the idea of, could it be implanted in her memories? I don't know why I'm doing that for that. But okay, this
whole show is like this.
It really is. You could just do this for the entire video. I think it'd drive everyone crazy. But we already have a established history of memory manipulation on the Blacklist. It dates back mainly to the episode Dr. Bogdan Krylov, which, Dr. Krylov is also kind of like the everyone's an imposter thing. Like, anytime we want to come up with an explanation for something, we say, oh, the memory manipulator guy did it, and he's
That's
blocking.
Right.
But there is an interesting sort of debate here, because back seasons ago, it was suggested that Dr. Krylov may have been brought in to manipulate Liz's memory again, and supposedly this would have had to have been around season 2 or so. So if that happened, maybe Reddington shows up a little bit before to get a sense as to what's going on with Liz. Maybe after a year or so, he determines she's worthy of these secrets that are out there, and then maybe Dr. Krylov comes in, manipulates it. If this is possible, it's possible. Is it likely? That's what I don't know.
It could be that N-13 is like, a figurehead name to sort of mask identities, almost like 007 in some ways, where, is 007 every single time the same guy? Is it really James Bond? Or is it sort of this, oh, now you're the 007, so now your name is James Bond. We're moving into the next sort of, you're going to be James Bond for this amount of time before you're retired. We're going to bring in the next 007, and it sort of is moving down the line like that.
I think it's also feasible to think about it in this sort of way. It's also just feasible that, we know that N-13 is a real construct within the world of the show. We know that they have some sort of role that's been confirmed already by Dom, but that doesn't necessarily mean that N-13 is exactly what Katarina sort of expressed that it was to Liz. Like, maybe Liz was just assigned this label when she was really young, and it's just some sort of like a figurehead position. It's like, oh, here's Liz. Liz could be N-13. We can go around and do all this other sort of stuff, but really, N-13 is a child, and because of that, nobody's really going to spend a lot of time digging into it at that point.
Or the person who was N-13 didn't want to be sort of, you put a target on yourself, right? So to pass it on to someone who's a child, they're not going to be the person anyone's going to be looking at. And then that child becomes an FBI agent. You're really not going to be looking at them.
It makes a certain degree of sense to think about it this way. It's just, ultimately to me, it doesn't matter to me that much who N-13 was, in so much as just like who has the archive now.
Yes.
Because like that's the stuff that really matters. It's like, where are the secrets? What are the secrets? How in the world doesn't matter?
Yeah, I'm really interested in what the secrets really are, because the only person that's really kind of explained what the secrets are is Katarina, who is not really reliable as a narrator.
Yes.
She lies a lot, and she just said that it's like a blackmail file, and maybe it is, but maybe it's not.
Yeah, the only person I can kind of count on that got some information here is Reddington, and guess what? He ain't explaining anything. Like, that's already been made clear.
No, he's not telling anything to Liz. He's not telling anything to us.
Okay, so let's get into another big theory that is out there, because this one we've seen in the comments for days on end. What if Liz's scar, like, remember everyone, Liz has a scar in her hand that they made a really big deal out of like 7 years ago at the start of the show and have completely forgotten about ever since.
Yeah.
If somehow, like, there's a chip or something implanted in her hand and it's stored that way, like, it would be a good way for them to, I guess, circle back to something that they haven't paid much attention to. But the weird thing is that, like, I can never figure out if a lot of the stuff in season 1, whether it be the scar, Reddington blowing up that house, or like if that is stuff that they're really planning to sort of go back to, or was it like the writers thought the show was going to be a different show back then and they've just sort of drifted away from it altogether?
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, that does happen where it sort of is kind of going in one direction and then, yeah, they shift the next season. But then we sort of go into, if there's a chip in her, was the technology really good enough for something like that back then? I'm not sure.
Like, if my choices are Dr. Krylov implanted memories in Liz's head...
I kind of like that one.
I think Dr. Krylov makes more sense to me than it's in the Scar, just because the Dr. Krylov thing, if it happened in, like, the Season 2 timeline, it would have only been, like, 6 years ago or so. It's a time in which such things could be possible within the world of the Blacklist. I don't know how much into, like, advanced computer chips there were things going on, like, 20 years ago or something.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to sort of, like, round this out with, if Liz has the archive, is this then the reason why Reddington's come into her life, and that this isn't necessarily a relation thing or something else, and that maybe this is also why he's really keeping this secret, because he's developed a really close, important, caring, loving relationship with her. And it's almost sort of like the whole Tom thing, where he was in her life sort of as a spy, do all this stuff, and he later cared for her. At that point, it's kind of like, well, do you care for me, or is this just another part of the spy game? And then if she also has Reddington that's in here doing the same sort of thing, where it's like, yeah, I came into your life for not so good reasons, but now I love you. Is she going to be like, oh, get out? Or is she going to be like, all right, let's, I understand. Things change, things evolve.
I really hope there's an emotional component somewhere within here. Like, I know a lot of people are mad at Liz right now, and I get a lot of that, but if this is just all about Reddington needing to be close to the archive, or him waiting to implant the memories of the archive into Liz until he knows that she's a decent enough FBI agent, or any of that sort of stuff, like, a lot of it is just manipulative, and it's all very calculating, and I want to live in a world where there's, like, more of a heart-related reason, because yes, I know Reddington is a criminal. Yes, I know that he threw somebody out of an airplane at one point. But yeah, I just want him to still care for things.
And he does. I mean, you see his relationship with Dembe. He cares about him so much. I mean, he can be this guy who's got a bad side to him. He is a bad boy, but, he can also care.
Yeah, I think that's where they could end up going here. It's a situation where maybe just storing the archive in Liz in some way or another was sort of the early goal, but since then he's developed more of a relationship, or he made some sort of promise that was tied to having a relationship with her to somebody else, and the archive was also a part of that. And I think it doesn't have to be either or. Like, all of these things can be true. Let's live in a world where the Blacklist has a happy... Okay, I'm kidding. I don't know if this is going to have a happy ending.
No, I don't need this show to have a happy ending. There's, elements of happiness in this show, and joy in this show, and love in this show. But this is a dark show. I am expecting a dark ending to come with this, mixed with a bit of love, but dark.
Yeah, I think we just have to remember what just happened in the mid-season finale.
Ever since that Stewmaker episode, I'm like, no, this show dark. It's not getting any lighter.
And that was like, I don't know, episode 4 or something like that. We broke bad quickly with the Blacklist.
Very quickly.
Okay, well, let's hear from you guys on a lot of this. What do you think is going down with the archive? Does Liz have it? Has she been N13? Is N13 just a useless code word, if nothing else, tied to a larger mystery? Give us all of your theories on this. The crazier, the more interesting, the better. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give us a like, support us further. Check those links to the store as well as our Patreon. And we'll see you here next time.